Friday. Good evening, everybody. Hope you're well. It's a perfect duo tonight. It's myself, Mr. Dave Smith, and to my left, it's Amy Canavan. Amy, how are we this fine Friday evening?
I'm doing all right. Dave, as we kind of expected, there it's just came through. We're going to start the show off. Rangers are today delighted to announce the signing of John Souttar on a pre-contract agreement from Heart of Midlothian. So we thought it would happen. We thought we'd better get out on the stream before the news was announced. I'll probably need to change the banner, but yeah, I reckon that's probably where we'll kick things off, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from a Rangers perspective, first and foremost, pretty good move for them bringing in John Souttar, because I mean, he's been a player that's been afflicted by injuries, but he's a player that's started the season off very well at Hearts.
Yeah, he's been their man for a little while now. They've sought off some competition from down south. Sheffield United were apparently after him. Stoke, Blackburn. There were a few clubs in the English Championship who were kind of looking for Souttar, but no. Obviously, Rangers they've got their man. They made it quite known fairly early on. There's a few rumblings back in October, November actually that was kind of who they were wanting. I do think it is a good signing. I spoke on Axom on Monday when I think Celtic were technically out the running, but there was a few hopes still there that Celtic might have went after him, and I'd been quite happy if he came to Celtic. I think everything you've outlined is spot on about his injuries. That was my major concern, and I think that will be a concern for some Rangers fans. But right now, if you're going off what John Souttar has done this season, he's been one of the standout players in a pretty standout Hearts defence, and I know we'll touch on that a little bit later on as well. But yeah, it is a great signing for them. On the flip side, I think Hearts now, or Hearts fans right now, I should correct myself there. I'll probably just want him to go now in January. I know Rangers are extremely keen on that. I think Souttar himself is keen on that. Hearts will only be keen on that, of course, if the right fee is paid. But Hearts fans, it's a tough one. When that pre-contract is signed, especially against a side that you're going to be playing against, it's an iffy scenario. I know a few Hearts fans that do just kind of want him to go now. It kind of just ends it. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of unravels over the next few days. That pre-contract's done, but that by no means that getting him in January, that's not dead and buried just yet.
Rangers are the pre-contract experts. Jordan Jones a few years ago, Scott Wright last year, John Souttar now. They're the pre-contract experts as far as Scottish football is concerned.
Absolutely. They've got it done quite quickly as well. The medical getting done this afternoon. And then just at 6 o'clock there, obviously, that's the pre-contract. It's been confirmed. They've went about their pre-contract business in the right way, getting it done as well before we come back from this winter break. Obviously, that kicks back. The league kicks back on Monday night now, so you're getting them in before that, getting all the contract stuff kind of done before that, making sure the medical and everything is passed. So yeah, the names you've outlined over the years, I know probably Jordan Jones, well, it's not probably, it didn't work out at Rangers, but he was so in form at Kilmarnock. It was unbelievable. And remember that time, that iffy spell. Obviously, Sean McGill is a Kilmarnock fan, my co-partner in Scottish football. So he spoke quite a lot about it's frustration, that they're going on to bigger and better things. I think it's been an interesting discussion actually around Souttar. There's been a few Hearts fans saying that it could be a step down. I'm going to Rangers. I don't obviously agree with that. Some are disappointed. I can get the disappointment because I think right now, obviously, going by the start of the season that Hearts have had, he's been integral into that mould and how well they've done it. They've been playing in a good Hearts side, a good Hearts defence more than anything. But I think the overriding disappointment has obviously been how much the club, especially over the last 2-3 years, have really stuck by him through these injuries. Now just because he's fit and firing on all cylinders, he's kind of jumping ship. For me, it is a selfish point of view, but you're thinking, right, at 25 years old, he's not yet made that big move that we all kind of expected him. You'll know better than me, Dave, but when he was at Dundee United, the sky's the limit for Souttar, and right now it still is. So he has to grab that opportunity while it presents himself. I do think that the injury proneness, if proneness is a word, of John Souttar is a massive concern. And if I was Rangers, I would be really quite cautious of that. It's a great deal, and I know there's that risk with every single player, but with Souttar, it's heightened. It doesn't seem to ever just be a little injury, you know, it's 6 months, 7 months, a year out, and then it just kind of goes and goes and goes for him. So I do feel that could be a concern, but it's right now you're looking at it's a really great deal kind of for all parties, especially if Hearts can then get the money that they think they deserve for him.
Absolutely. I mean, from a Hearts persuasion, it's been really good business from them, irrespective of what's happened just now, because Kingsley, Smith, and Halkett have all been tied down on long-term deals this week.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's been a great business, a great window, of business from Hearts so far. We're talking about that defensive back line that Souttar's obviously been such an integral cog in. You're looking at tying down, obviously, Michael Smith just today on another year's contract. That's all you're really going to get with Michael Smith right now, is just getting a year on, year on. But if you keep getting that, you know, for a guy of his age, the standard of performances that he puts in, week out, is rather astounding, actually. Craig Gordon, another one. There was quite a lot of links at the tail end of last year, coming up until Hogmanay. I think he did sign on Hogmanay, signed that contract extension. There was a few talks that he might go down south, you know, a kind of last chance saloon down there, to go back and kind of unfinished business. Obviously, he had that move down to Sunderland first time round, but the injuries and everything. I do think Craig Gordon would be able to put in a shift still down south, but for Hearts, that's massive that he's stayed on. He's club captain now. And, you know, he's going to see his career out there, absolutely. For Craig Halkett, it's another great signing, or not signing, but it's another great contract extension. I was a big fan of Halkett at Livingston. I don't think he's totally and utterly, you know, set the world alight at Hearts yet, but it's a little bit more consistency this season. It's kind of been a little bit of the whipping boy, and I understand that, but for me and for many, I would say that, you know, tying down Stephen Kingsley is absolutely crucial to Hearts. He has been the standout performer. He's been, I think it's been a little bit of a shock, certainly to me. I couldn't believe, you know, if you look at his stats, obviously a little bit of a shout out, but Boys Analytics, they do fantastic work. Obviously I follow them quite closely, but it's crazy, you know. They just done a piece there, and the stats, you know, they don't lie. I know a lot of people don't like them, and you just have to kind of deal with what's on the part. But if that's kind of your thing, I would go for it. It's Stephen Kingsley's head and shoulders above almost everybody else in that department. I think it's a great piece of business by Hearts. So there was a lot of talk, you know, that there was a little bit of frustration and animosity perhaps with Robbie Neilson and his players, but going by these contract extensions, you would say that's quite the opposite. They all obviously seem happy at Hearts. That has to come obviously from the manager as well, or the manager has to play a part in that. But to be able to tie down all those players that we've just mentioned, and then if they do get money for Souttar as well, when probably you're looking maybe this time last year and Souttar was looking so injury prone, who knows what they might have got for Souttar? Potentially nothing. It might have just been one of these tragic cases that he lost his career almost to two injuries. But if they can get a bit of money for him, which seems likely, then I do think so far it's been a terrific window so far for Hearts.
Mm-hmm. Hearts have put out a statement saying the club reiterates that John is an important member of the first team squad and will remain so until end of the season, unless a significant and satisfactory offer is made during the January transfer window. But I mean, if John Souttar's named in that Hearts team sheet when they play St Johnstone on Tuesday, I think it'll be a very intense environment inside Tynecastle Park on Tuesday night.
Yeah, I can't see him playing. To be honest, I do see this coming. I think Rangers are so keen on him that I think whatever, unless it's something ludicrous, but I don't see Hearts doing that. Because I think right now Hearts are really good at reading the room of their supporters. And yeah, you know, I go back to it's the Gary Caldwell when he was at Hibs and signed pre-contract with Celtic. Remember the animosity back then. That's the standout for me, obviously. But there's been plenty over the years. It's just, you know, it's a horrible scenario for everyone, I assume, because at the end of the day, you still would assume that Souttar would be going in and putting a professional performance, and just because he's got that deal, he'll still want to impress, you know, his future employers or whoever it may be. And at the end of the day, Hearts would still be his employer. So I think the professionalism of Souttar, you would expect them to still perform to the standards, but it does leave a sour taste in the mouth And yeah, I think it would be a tasty atmosphere on Tuesday if he was named in that starting lineup.
It was an infuriating group chat the last few days when all this talk regarding Souttar surrounded. And do you have a bit of sympathy for the Jambo supporters? Because I do personally.
Yeah, it's tough, and it's kind of what I was alluding to earlier. I think the biggest, if it was me, I would be most hurt. Maybe hurt's a little bit strong, but the club really have stood by Souttar through a ridiculous amount of injuries, and managed to get him back to his best. And perhaps this is even better, than what we saw of John Souttar before. Like I say, going back to that season at Dundee United, or a few seasons, but that I think is at the 2013-14 season with Jackie McNamara, and everybody was just Andy Robertson was obviously there, and Ryan Gold and Armstrong and Mackay Stephen, everything was just clicking. That young generation really were coming through, but I think this is potentially the best that I've seen of Souttar for a consistent period of time at this level. So I understand the frustration, and I understand that you're letting them go to a fellow, obviously Scottish Premiership side. I don't think it would be quite so hard if he signed a pre-contract with a club down south. Obviously, I pointed it out earlier. Just want to reiterate, that some Hearts fans obviously think that it's a step down going to Rangers. I'm not saying that in any way. I know there's a few comments coming through, just referring to what we've seen, what we've heard. But yeah, that just shows you the passion and probably the heart and the annoyance of these Hearts supporters. It's a tough scenario, but I think more than anything right now, I think you look the club have managed to tie down Kingsley, Gordon, Halkett, Smith. That's a great bit of business. If you presented what Hearts have got right at this moment to a Hearts fan at the beginning of the window, or say the 29th of December before everything kicked off, they would bite your hand off at this. Well, I certainly think they would. Like I say, Kingsley for me is a terrific contract extension. Craig Gordon, you're not finding a better goalkeeper in the league right now. I'm not having it any other way. For the last year, for the calendar year 2020, it was absolutely outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. So I do still think that there's plenty positives to be seen at Hearts, and I think that's what the fans should be clinging on to, not the fact that the loss of Souttar, because they know themselves that right now, and I know I sound like a broken record, but yeah, everything's going well right now for him, but it only takes one injury, and like I say, there's that risk with every player. But for Souttar, we all know it's never just a 2-3 week, and then he's back. It's sustained periods out on the sidelines. So perhaps moving away from that, obviously they'll need to get a replacement in of some sort. But if they get that money generated through from that transfer, and they've now got, still almost a good 2 weeks left of the window to try and find someone, then it's only one player they're having to look for now in that defence. They're not having to try and replace a Kingsley, a Smith, etc. So, no, I do still think it's a really good position that Hearts find themselves in. I understand the fans' disappointment, but you've got to be clinging on and thinking that, yeah, our club have done well managing to tie these players down. And if Souttar didn't want to, then, that's on him. It's not on the club, because they've managed to pull it off with everyone else so far.
Of course, the noise has been amplified by Jambos right now, and I'm pretty sure the pizza's been overcooked by certain sections, beg your pardon, of Hearts fans, but I'm pretty sure if John Souttar gets Heart over to European football, it'll calm down altogether.
Yeah, absolutely. It's it's a tough one. I do find it difficult right now as well. You're just trying to refresh at all times, make sure that nothing else is kind of breaking, because it has been a really fast moving day. In the last few days, it's probably been a little bit slow. It's been a little bit, yeah, it's coming, but now it's actually happened, and now everything will just try to get fast tracked if this deal comes through and right now, and not just on a pre-contract. So, but like you say, if it remains to be a pre-contract and Souttar then plays his part in getting Hearts European football, or getting the possibility, the chance of European football, then certainly I do think that all will be forgiven.
Absolutely. And for Rangers fans, obviously listening here, you'll get a cracking cup of coffee because he runs his own coffee shop in Angus. So there you go. Great start if you're a Rangers fan, of course. But off to Birmingham now. Steven Gerrard has been very busy in his transfer dealings. Just to clarify before we start here, this specific player, Kerr Smith, will not be in the first team picture at Aston Villa. But in terms of Kerr Smith joining Aston Villa, Amy, great piece of business for everybody involved.
Yeah, you have to think so. He's a massive talent, and I know Dave, you'll have seen more of him than me. But the interest has been high for such a long time. I think he spent time down at Manchester United before, anyway. But they were certainly in for him in the summer. I remember that. Brendan Rodgers' Leicester was in for him as well. He's an exciting talent. He's 17 years old, and I think most Scottish football fans will actually know him, so that speaks volumes. It's a great deal. My worry of him obviously going down to Villa is obviously he's not walking into that first team, as we do kind of know it is going into the academy. You don't want him getting lost in that kind of pool of talent, which so many players do and have done, especially if they're coming down from Scotland. But you have to think that after Steven Gerrard's time up here, he's kind of aware of the presence and the impact that the young Kerr Smith can make in a first team game, that he does not necessarily keep an eye out on him, but you've got to think, right, he's going to be his signing as well. That's evident. It's not like somebody who he's just picking up from within the academy when he's joined himself. So yeah, you hope that it's the right move for him. Right now you're thinking, wow, what an incredible club to go down to with great facilities. A massive historic club in European football as well. I don't think that can be underestimated, the stature of Aston Villa still. And you're getting to work with a manager, hopefully, when he does make that transition into the first team, and Steven Gerrard, that the name speaks volumes for itself. So it is a great deal. Tam Courts will know as well. He'll have made sure that it was the right deal for the player, especially given his previous role within the club. He's very, very aware of the interest from elsewhere, European giants, to be honest. So he would ensure that the right move was made for the player. And yeah, 17 years old, well, I'm 21. I wouldn't turn that move down. You're not going to turn that down at 17 years old. So delighted for him. But like I say, you'll have seen more of him, Dave. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you think about this one.
Yeah, before I do continue, he's also playing with the GOAT, John McGinn, Super John.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but yeah, on the Kerr Smith perspective, he's a man that's only played 5 games for Dundee United this season, but he played at Celtic Park and played against Rangers and never looked out of place in any of those games in Europe against two Glasgow Giants. Rangers were obviously going for the league at that precise moment in time, and then Celtic were just slowly but surely beginning their process to where they are just now. So that just shows where he was at. But could he have had more games? Arguably, but I think the marshals of Ryan Edwards and Charlie Mulgrew limited his game time a little bit. And from a Dundee United persuasion, massive windfall.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, it's all these young assets. Dundee United have got a great history of that especially over the last kind of 20 years, really. But it's kind of what you said at the top of the point. It's a great deal right now for all parties, and you've just got to hope that Smith goes on, kicks on, and perhaps in a few years' time we'll see him alongside John McGinn in that starting lineup, like you say.
Absolutely. From a Kerr Smith perspective, I mean, it is about breaking through, but that's the point I'm making. I think the fact that he hasn't broke through properly into the first team picture at Dundee United kind of eases a little bit of scepticism from Dundee United fans.
Yeah, I think so. I do think you're kind of spot on there. He's not a week in, week out kind of regular, fleeting appearances, like you say. But that doesn't underestimate how much, he was still valued, and fans were definitely excited about that. As any fan of any club is when you think a young prospect's kind of coming through. But it's a deal that no 17-year-old can turn that down. It's a huge opportunity. You'll be working, like you say, with not only great players. Like, my God, Aston Villa have just signed Felipe Coutinho the other day. You do not turn that down. It is a great move right now. And I kind of like, actually, that it has been a Villa that he's went to, as much as I'm just saying I hope he doesn't get lost in that pool of talent. But in the summer, there were Manchester United's, Leicester's and all of that. And as much as I'm saying Aston Villa are a huge club, there's no denying it, they're not financially at that stage of, like even Leicester, Manchester United right now. So there is a better chance of him. I think it's a great move. And absolutely excited for him as well.
Yeah, absolutely. From a Dundee United persuasion, they probably need to add an extra defender as far as I'm concerned. I mean, Edwards and Mulgrew have been top players, but I think we found when United had that predicament towards the tail end of last year, how when Edwards wasn't in the team or Mulgrew wasn't in the team, or when the puzzle wasn't fit, it wasn't was out and about. Sorry, that United were all over the place at the back, and maybe an extra defender from a club perspective is needed in this window.
I'd say it's a necessity, to be honest. I think Edwards and Mulgrew have kind of been the unlikely successful pairing. I didn't see that. The start that Dundee United had to the season, that was so. The role they played was crucial in that, and I didn't really see that coming. I think you're spot on in everything you've just outlined as well, because it did kind of get a little bit messy at the back towards the tail end of the first half of the season there. But they're both also, it's certainly Mulgrew, that they are of an age. They're not going to have a 5-6 kind of years left at Dundee United. So you're wanting to breed people through. I do think that defender will kind of need to be signed kind of sharpish as well. What we're saying with Rangers obviously getting Souttar, at least the pre-contract done right now, it's shown good business. Dundee United now need to try and get somebody in pretty sharpish. I don't really know. I don't know if you know if they've kind of got anybody with an eye. I would think that Tam Courts would, because I don't see him selling Smith if he didn't really have somebody in the pipeline, or at least have his eye on someone. But I think it's I think other than that, Dundee United are okay. Maybe a striker, but other than that, I think business is okay up there.
He'll be in for a man, but that man is at a certain club and he's playing in another position.
Yeah, exactly. Very true. Actually, yeah, very true.
And I mean, if they get Tony Watt in, I think it would be the perfect player they need right now, because United have obviously been a little bit calamitous at the back, but also in the forward areas they've been struggling for goals. And Declan Glass score against Hibs was the first time United scored in 5 games. So they're a side that they have earned a lot of plaudits with themselves at the start of the season, but they're also a side that need readjustments in certain positions.
Yeah, the striking position is obviously what I was alluding to. Tony Watt, I think the pre-contract has been signed, hasn't it? Yeah, absolutely. But I think if they can bring him in right now, then that would be instrumental to this tail end of this season. So it is going to be interesting if that one comes through as well. These kind of like what we're saying with Souttar, I don't think there would be quite so much animosity at Motherwell if Tony Watt stayed in because I don't know, but maybe it's different because I think Watt can still contribute in a massive way towards their season by scoring goals and whatnot. But that'll again, it's going to be so similar to Souttar's that if Motherwell feel they're getting what they deserve for Watt in this window, then that move might be sped up, forced through now. But for Motherwell, that's the last thing that they want. But for Dundee United, like you say, it could definitely be the kind of twist they need to their season, because it did start firing on all cylinders, but it was done so, like I say, because of the defensiveness at the back. It was never 5-6 goals. It was no, it's a bit of a push for Dundee United anyway, but it wasn't a goal scoring performance. It was stability at the back, really solid midfield. So to get some goals on the scoreline for them would be crucial. And I think Tony Watt is definitely going to be a big player for them next season, no matter what. And I'm excited for him. At the same time, I kind of liked him at Motherwell. I thought he was doing a really good job. I was quite surprised when it came through again, probably around October, November, wasn't it? That the links were getting made to Dundee United quite so soon, because I thought he'd kind of found his place at Motherwell. They're a fantastically run club. I think they do so many things so well, and I love watching them from a footballing perspective, not perhaps on the pitch, but just everything they do off it. I think it's a model. I think Alan Burrows is absolutely outstanding what he's done since he came into the club. Their social media work as well, I know Dave, you'll appreciate that just as much as I do. I think the content they produce is exceptional, and they're just such a community club. I think it's spot on.
Absolutely. And then just to finish off in this Kerr Smith front, I don't know if you play Football Manager, Amy, but I certainly do. And I did United the Football Manager, and I sold Kerr Smith to Wolves for 1.8 million. So fair play to Aston Villa Football Club for selling for an extra £200,000. And just to clarify before I go even further, I'm an absolute embarrassment in Football Manager, because I'll tell you why. I can beat my Celtic Hearts in the Premier Sports Cup. So that's how calamitous.
Kevin Thompson's Celtic Hearts. Can't be letting that happen. I'm a born of the growth girl, so come on.
Exactly. I thought I'd be brutally honest with you on that front. It was absolutely embarrassing. And it's a good job I haven't revealed this to Tam Courts yet, because he'd probably kill me. So, yes, on to Scotland. Pricing. Oh, cheap to watch football. It's obviously cheap to go watch Bonnie Ring Rose, as we have rightly alluded to there. But Scotland, 20 quid if you're a member, 25 quid if you're not a member, which is extremely cheap.
I think, I can't actually believe I'm going to say this, but I think the SFA deserve a huge amount of credit here. They have, over the last year, we've talked so much about, reading the room, getting the tone right. Clubs perhaps a little bit close to me, I don't think that they've done it, been very vocal about that, and I know fans across the country have been as well, but the national team are setting an example here. This is absolutely superb from Scotland, from the SFA, everybody involved. I think it's just really nailing on that, the excitement. There's no denying it. Definitely in my lifetime, Dave, and yours as well. I assume this is the most enjoyable it's been to watch Scotland. I've never really enjoyed watching Scotland at all, but enjoyed it as much as I am right now. And you're wanting to, be at games. You're wanting to know, right, where am I when it's a Ukraine game or whatever it may be. You need to remember that. So I think it's spot on. £72 for 4 games, like you say, that's working out, as you say, 20 to 23 pounds. Kind of, it's extraordinary, really. It's setting the perfect example, the perfect precedent, and they're just reading the excitement and everything that is going on, and they're just getting it right. They're getting it right, and they know how much that having a full stadium, a packed out Hampden, which at these prices there certainly will be. Well, I can't see any. There's no justification. You can't say, "Oh, we were outpriced" or anything like that. There's no excuse really for a packed out Hampden. Obviously, I totally understand. My God, I'm by no means rich myself. I'm still a student. But by footballing perspective, these prices are ridiculous. They're off the charts cheap. So for a packed out Hampden, and the most crucial 4 crucial games is going to be massive to the boys. Every player alludes to the Hampden roar and everything like that, and I'm playing in front of them. So to make that as feasible and as possible to everybody, really, is amazing from the SFA, and I was so pleased to see that come out today. I think it's kind of went under the radar a little bit, and it doesn't deserve to. It deserves to be applauded because it is fantastic.
Absolutely, it's cheaper than a night out in the town.
My God, I live in Edinburgh. Believe me, it's a hell of a lot cheaper than a night out in Edinburgh.
Absolutely, and I mean it's an exciting period for Scotland coming up. So the SFA have marketed this spot on.
Yeah, like I say, I find it odd that it's kind of went under the radar so much today. I don't think it got the limelight it does deserve. But yeah, it's massive kudos to the SFA because they deserve for reading the room. I know it sounds so easy, but so many clubs have got it wrong over the last year. But you're just nailing the tone. But to do it for these 4 games, and the status of these 4 games and the magnitude of these 4 games, to do it then, I saw a tweet earlier. Was it John Bleasdale? It said it was like £42 for a Gibraltar game a few years ago.
Like John Bleasdale.
Yeah, it was. I'm sure it was him. I need to message him back actually. But it's to think you're going from that to only maybe having to spend £23. That is unbelievable. 20, 23, 25, whatever you want to kind of call it. It's amazing. And I just think it's in these times as well, everything that we came through from COVID, how financially tough it is for people, just to kind of tip your cap, because football, especially the run there, deserved brought so much joy and excitement in a really kind of dark time. So now to continue that on and to allow people to experience it the right way in the stadium is spot on from all involved, and it makes you proud. Not outpricing people. There's been a lot of talk obviously recently. Whose game is it? Is it Scotland's game? Of course it is. It's our game. And it just kind of is bringing it back to the people, and the people make football. Football without the fans is nothing. So, which obviously makes it so right as well why Monday night is why the winter break was brought forward and everything like that, because you want packed out stadiums in the safest possible way, of course. But I think Scotland have hit the nail on the head here.
I'll come back to Scotland in a minute, Amy. The club football, they've obviously got the fans back, as you've rightly alluded to there. And it's going to be fantastic just seeing the fans get a little bit of normality again on Monday and Tuesday night.
Yeah, I'm there on Monday at Celtic Park, and I cannot wait just to get just to get back, obviously I do have Bonnyrigg Rose, but we've been restricted to 500. You know, like played Spartans last week, which is a top of the table clash. If you take out the Rangers B and Celtic B, obviously, but for the two who can actually gain promotion, it's a top of the table clash. And you're restricted to only 500, and I mean restricted because that would easily have been over 1,000. I know some people think, oh, scoff, whatever, she's talking a load of rubbish because it's the Lone League, but it's true. Regularly Rose will bring in 700 to 800 easily. And if you think Spartans isn't that far up the road, obviously they're based at Ainsley Park. Only getting out to Bonnyrig's nothing, and especially with no Hearts, but no Hearts or Hibs games on, you would easily have went 1,500 to 2,000 at New Dundas Park comfortably. So as much as I'm saying that I have still got to be with fans at Bonnyrigg, it's not been the same. 500, it's spread around the ground like that. It just doesn't even it doesn't even look like 500, to be honest. It's just so little, but they still make their noise, the Rosie Posey. But no, I'm buzzing to be at Parkhead on Monday, and amongst say 60,000 as good as. So it's going to be brilliant. It's going to be brilliant to see the scenes in the safest possible way as well. Of course, I am boosted, so it shouldn't be too many problems. We'll get through nice and early to avoid the queues, but it is everything we can talk about until the cows come home. But extending the break, bringing the break forward was the right thing to do by all clubs that agreed to do it. You need fans. Players need fans. Fans need fans. It's just a necessity. They go hand in hand.
Okay, so there's your clarity, viewers. She will not be in the Celtic state of mind on Monday night because she is in the East End of Glasgow.
Exactly.
On a Scotland persuasion, there's a very exciting period on the park coming up, and the fact that we'll have a very good atmosphere only adds to that. And we've been playing some fantastic football with the fact that we've had some big crowds in games recently.
Yeah, I was really gutted. I never got to go to any, just at the tail end of the campaign there at the World Cup. I was working them, but even then, you're still because even I was working them and I was in the office, you do still get that little bit of a buzz. Because you're watching everybody else, a lot of jealousy, I can't lie. It's great working. I love what I do. Dave, I know you love what you do too, but when you're stuck in an office and you're seeing everybody else at the ground, it's a tough one. But no, it's terrific, and it adds to it and it makes it memorable. So these 4 games, which is massive anyway, the fact that it's 4 so closely together, a quadruple header, it's a delight. And even if you can't make it to all 4, like obviously we're talking about that package deal, which is great in itself. But even if you only make it to say 1 or 2, or it's just having that possibility. And I just think it's so good from Scotland, like so good. It's kind of hard to believe because you're like everybody else kind of misses the tone here. But Scotland have got it spot on, and yeah, I am absolutely delighted.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from a Scotland squad persuasion, I mean, there might be 1 or 2 little changes on the park. I think now to middle of March period is an opportunity for some players to put themselves in a reckoning. Obviously, John Souttar was here or thereabouts. Obviously, some Celtic players such as Ralston was a little bit unlucky the last time. Is this an opportunity for them to try and pursue their way into Steve Clarke's plans?
Of course it is. I think most of us right now probably have maybe a pool of 13 to 14 players who we would say do kind of have to start for Scotland. Obviously, I know there are only 11, but I think there's 13 or 14 that are really staking their claim and would probably... It's probably been the most stable in a long time that you could name your starting Scotland 11. I don't think there's too much room for movements right now, but it only takes for 1 or 2 injuries, and as much as we're looking forward to this quadruple header, it's still a million miles away. 6 months in football, or 5 months, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, is a long time. We've seen how many players, the one that comes to mind obviously is Kenny McLean missing out on the Euros there due to injury. These things will happen, and as much as I'm not bringing or hoping an injury comes to any player, Ryan Jack as well, it is going to happen. Somebody is going to get injured. You're hoping it's not, more than anybody, you're hoping it's not a John McGinn, you're hoping it's not a Lyndon Dykes or Billy Gilmore, but Grant Hanley. But there will undoubtedly be space for, you know, some shocks. I think Steve Clark kind of likes pulling out a shock as well. Get us all making sure we're still paying attention. But yeah, it's an incentive, I think, as well, just to be part of that, you know, that quadruple header with what should be and what I assume will probably be sellout Hampdens after sellout Hampden. So it's going to be a massive few months ahead, and it's just exciting to actually look forward to. You know, when any other year would you actually be thinking in January, right? Who's actually thinking about, you know, Scotland squads or Scotland games or whatever? You just think, oh, they just kind of come along. But now they are such a fixture, and you're thinking, right, we need to, you know, they are in your mind, and you know they're there, because there's an excitement. I can't actually express what it's like to finally follow Scotland, but well, not finally follow Scotland, always follow Scotland, but finally happily follow Scotland. It's been quite painful over the years, and it's taken 21 years to finally get to this stage. But yeah, I'm delighted to finally be here.
Absolutely. Slightly away from the Scotland persuasion here. Ross Stewart, a man that I don't think will make this latest Scotland squad, a man that's been linked with Swansea City. Some drive from Kilwinning Rangers.
It's crazy. What a story. I think somebody put out that tweet a few weeks ago, didn't they? It's just one of those, like, don't give up your dreams kind of thing. It's amazing. So amazing. You can't really put into words to truly describe what an achievement it is. And I know a lot of people just think, well, you know, playing football and whatnot, but the speed of his progression as well to make it, like, I wasn't aware of the Swansea set of links, but for that is incredible. And you know, he deserves it. He's a terrific player, really terrific player. And I hope if it happens, then it works out. Because I think everybody loves these fairy tale stories. I certainly do. I just think that they're a joy to see. So yeah, it's another terrific story. I think I'm on the same wavelength as you. I don't quite think that he's going to maybe be pushing for the Scotland side yet, but you never know. Wouldn't rule him out for future years either, but it's a great story. And yeah, like you say, to come from, it's quite the rise from Kilwinning Rangers.
Absolutely. It's been a very positive 37 minutes so far. Thanks very much to everybody. Keep your comments coming in. Much appreciated. Unfortunately, I'm going to be a little bit negative here for just a couple of minutes, Amy, but you understand why. Gambling. No place for football, and there's been a few cases today. Nine surrounding players that have been around the Elgin City Football Club in the last 10 years, and there's also a case surrounding Gordon Young, the assistant manager at Cove Rangers, and Shane Sutherland, who's currently in the books at Inverness Cali Thistle.
Yeah, it's never a nice thing to come out, obviously. You're a hell of a lot closer to Elgin than me. What's in the water up there, Dave? But no, it's an extremely serious issue. Dougie Emery's kind of getting the unwanted attention, I would say, right now, I think, as well. His longevity of all these, obviously, allegations is kind of quite a standout, especially considering that he's just not long moved to Greenock. Everything's kind of, well, I think the business they were doing, by all accounts, was pretty decent. They were getting the bodies in, but going back to your original point when you said there's no place for gambling in football, I think again it's kind of a bit under the radar, but the Scottish Government have kind of expressed their desire, really, I believe, for not only football but for sports teams altogether to move away from, gambling and alcohol sponsorships, really. And I think that can only be an asset. I think most fans would agree with that. I can't really see, I would like to know, why they wouldn't. I think that's a movement, certainly, that a lot of us could get behind. And it's kind of been on the periphery for a while. You always kind of get these chats, especially around alcohol consumption. But yeah, it's tricky, especially during COVID, after everything that's happened there and the struggles that brings. And gambling was one for many. Alcohol was one for many as well. I think as the number one sport, national sport, kind of do have to set an example. And it's not healthy, Dave, you and I know, going around the amount of grounds that we do, where you see so much, it is everywhere. It is everywhere. There's plastered over every wall, every boarding. So and every strip, pretty much, it is something I do think that that should be getting moved away from, getting shifted from.
Because the women's football, I think, set a great precedence for this. Dundee United, I'll give you a prime example. The men's team is sponsored by Eden Mill that do the gin. And don't get me wrong, lovely gin, but obviously because of the women's football, I'm like to wave the SWF have a thing in place that you can't promote it or you can't put it on shirts and things like that. So the United women's team are instead sponsored by Free Poulet Estates, if that's pronounced correctly. And there'll be other initiatives within women's football where they're sponsored by different people because of this alcohol ban.
Yeah, I think the women are setting a great example. And that has to go down to the SWFA and everyone involved there, because they are just setting the tone that they want to be set in. I think the men could do with following suit, but that'll obviously be the SPFL, Neil Doncaster and the likes, if that's kind of what they would like to get behind. I do think it is a problem, and obviously the list that's came out today, and it is a list, it's a hefty list. I think Elgin in particular, I assume something will happen there. They'll get looked into, probably separately, because that's did you say 9 players associated to them for years?
6 players, Robert O'Mara included because he's at Elgin on loan, and there's Shane Sutherland and 2 players that have since left the club to join
Right.
Albion Rovers and Strathspey Thistle respectively.
Yeah, right. So I would assume perhaps something might get looked into there, but perhaps not. It's kind of just spitballing. But yeah, I do get behind if that's what the government would present to the SPFL, because it's such a disease, and I think as the women are doing, they're creating the best possible atmosphere for their supporters, for their players, and I think the men have to follow suit. I think there has to come a responsibility when you have the presence and the power that these clubs do, especially in the top flight in the Championship in particular. I think you have to set an example, and then I would like to hope that would filter throughout the leagues.
Because one example from a media perspective is you obviously have the guys that will do all the on their phones and they'll go and obviously put in yellow cards, red cards, pass. That's not allowed in women's football, to my understanding.
No, not as far as I know either. So yeah, I think they have to take a leaf out of the women's book, and hopefully it can certainly contribute to these lists certainly getting shorter, and if not totally non-existent.
Absolutely. I said it was short and sweet. I'm finished. Right, on to your favourite cup of tea, Amy, and that's Celtic Football Club. Obviously, Greg Taylor saying that he wants to obviously push for honours at that club, and Ange Postecoglou's side are in a really good position right now, but obviously on the other side to this, they've got a lot of competition from Rangers, but Celtic are a different animal about them just now.
I think so. Yeah, it's interesting. The press conferences yesterday from both Taylor and Postecoglou. For Greg Taylor to come out, I think also speaks volumes, kind of what Postecoglou thinks of him. Which, going by what came out today, that Adam Montgomery could be looking to get out on loan, then that could be a massive kudos to Taylor and to Liam Scales as well. Of course, Juranovic obviously plays a little bit out there, if him and Ralston both need to be in the side, if Postecoglou deems it. But yeah, I'm a big Greg Taylor fan, and I kind of always have been. I think he has been the whipping boy. He's no Kieran Tierney. I'm not trying to compare him. He's by no means the best player in the Celtic team. Not at all, but he puts in 110% every single game. He puts in exhausting shifts, and for me, that speaks volumes. Can he improve? Of course he can, but I think he puts in a lot. On the flip, I would love for Adam Montgomery to go out alone. I really like him. I really, really do like him. I like his versatility. In saying that, I do think he perhaps should try and nail down a position. Should he just make himself a winger, or should he make himself a left back? But yeah, I think that would be a really exciting loan deal for all parties, and I think if it's the right one, it could certainly be beneficial to all.
Yeah, injury hampered Greg Taylor's opening 6 months of the season, but is it about first and foremost staying injury free and then kicking on and consolidating your place, especially with the standard incorporated with Celtic just now?
Yeah, and like I said, Postecoglou has shown faith in him. There's been a few times that he has been thrown right in. He is like I say, he's never ever going to be the standout, and he is always going to divide opinion. And I feel for him, because I think it's hard coming in off the back of Kieran Tierney. There will be comparisons made, which is just ridiculous, because he's not trying to be Kieran Tierney. He's never going to be a Kieran Tierney, certainly not to the standard that Tierney was so fast. He's just a completely and utterly different animal. I'm happy for him to keep not plodding on, because I do think he is a vital cog. But for me, yeah, I am chuffed that Postecoglou's kind of shown a little bit of faith in him. He will divide opinion. I think another one, kind of what you're saying, is part of that Kilmarnock team under Steve Clarke. He'd done a lot. He'd done really well. For as long as I think Steve Clarke's at that Scotland job, Greg Taylor will continually get selected, and not just because of that connection, but he's not gonna start because of Tierney and Robertson, and I think he'll know that himself. But it's just great experience as well. So all in all, I'm here for Greg Taylor to stay and to keep fighting.
Absolutely. Somebody's coming here with what your thoughts are on the three signings from Japan. Some good additions that Ange Postecoglou has made since his tenure at the club, and especially in the last few weeks.
Yeah, it's obviously kind of impossible to see what's your impression, other than obviously the press conference yesterday. I'm looking forward to seeing them play. I'm hoping to see all on Monday. I'm excited by that. Obviously, there was a bounce game during the week against St Mirren. Saw some minutes, so yeah, I am excited. I find it interesting that yesterday, going back to Postecoglou's press conference, that I don't know if that was just perhaps with the kind of there was a lot of talk about Riley McGree. If that's over, with, then obviously Postecoglou has come out and said that he's kind of happy with the business up until now. I'm a little bit surprised by that. I know obviously he wanted Rio Hatate, Deza Maeda and Gucci. He's got them all, which is fantastic. He's got that business done early, but I would still say that, I'd like to think that Cameron and Carter Vickers would try and, get him signed, get him signed. But I would be surprised if a few more bodies didn't filter through. Postecoglou yesterday, he does keep his cards close to the chest. He's very, very good with the media. So as much as I trust him, and if he says his business is over with, fine, fair enough. But I wouldn't be completely and utterly surprised if a Celtic signing comes in towards the end of the window. I feel like Ange has got that in him.
On Riley McGree, I noticed Chris Wilder had a wee bit of a swipe at Celtic, but in terms of Celtic Football Club, they made the decision not to pursue and ultimately go for Riley McGree in the end, and life moves on.
Yeah, I've not got a problem with it. He wasn't, obviously, and Postecoglou came out and said that he was kind of somebody who he wanted, of course, because he knows the player and whatnot. But if he doesn't want to sign for Celtic, then he doesn't want to sign for Celtic. It's c'est la vie. If he wants to go down to Middlesbrough, obviously he'll undoubtedly get a little bit more money down there. Then good luck to him. But you're going to get linked with so many players. They're all going to. A lot of them will come close. A lot of them won't. Some will sign, some won't. It's like I say, world moves on. It was, I think, because it kind of seemed to be almost a done deal, and you would think he's linked with Postecoglou. I think a lot of Celtic fans were excited. But yeah, it's a loss. But if you don't want to sign for Celtic, then I'm not going to be too disappointed.
Yep. When Celtic take to the pitch on Monday night against Hibs, the technical area will be a bit busier than usual, as the 5 substitute rule adopted during last year to combat the impact that COVID will be reintroduced. For every Scottish club, it's a massive advantage, and Ange Postecoglou is a huge supporter of it.
Yeah, I bet. I think all clubs voted for it, to be fair, so it's not one of these ones that you can say that a few clubs have had it done against their will. But yeah, you're thinking for Celtic, for Rangers, Hearts, Hibs, perhaps, but for the big two in particular, it's just that it's another asset for them. Both got ridiculous squad numbers. So yeah, to be able to bring on 5 substitutes, Celtic and Rangers, they're always going to have 5 players of quality on the bench as well, or certainly of decent quality, in addition to the 11 that will be on the park. So it's fantastic from a Celtic perspective. But I think the fact that all clubs have voted for it speaks volumes as well. But I don't know. I don't know how you feel on it, Dave. It's weird because it's obviously it's different to the norm, but perhaps this is becoming the new norm. What do you think about it? The
Yeah,
five.
yeah, I think Tom Coach raised a really good point in the press conference this afternoon. It offers versatility, but also offers flexibility for the clubs. Versatility because it offers clubs the option where they don't have to have goalkeeper, defender, midfield, forward, winger. They can have goalkeeper, fullback, defence midfielder, winger, striker. They could have a multiple permutations to it. It can also have a multiple synopsis to it, and also you can look at this by saying if things aren't going well, you can try a completely different system altogether. And I mean, it offers so much incentive for the clubs in the second half of the season. And I mean, the free sub rule is a traditional scenario for all clubs concerned, but the five sub rule, it offers a lot more game time for the players. A lot of players will build a bigger squad morale booster for all the players and clubs involved. So for me, it's a win-win situation for everybody associated with Scottish football. If it works, I'd like to see a five sub rule implemented in the long term. I don't think it will. I think we'll go back to three as of next season, just because I think you look at the three and it avoids so much stoppages within the game, especially you look at a lot of stoppages in the game as it is with refereeing decisions, substitutions getting made, sending offs, anything basically. So there's a lot, and as James one of the doctors rightly pointed out here, it will hopefully help with player fitness and development too. So I think for a short term from now till May, it's a win-win situation. And obviously, with the pandemic well and truly still here, with Omicron, we don't know how long, or indeed how long this is here to stay. It's something that's going to be here for a good while, unfortunately. And it's been a frustrating last few years. Let's know why, but that, Amy. But indeed, it's here to stay. I'm pretty sure a few cans of beers will settle our minds away and obviously focus on something else. But Postecoglou came out and said, Amy, that it's been a great half-time report, but he wants higher standards.
Yeah, I can agree with that absolutely. You're not going to settle right now for second best either, is it? It's everything that he says. Like I say, he's so good with the press. I really think he doesn't give away too much. But you're never going to come out and say halfway through the season that everything's going absolutely dandy when there has been mishaps along the way. I think it's been a great first 6 months for Postecoglou, obviously a little bit more than that, but first kind of stint in the division. I think many Celtic fans would have took this position if you offered this to them in July, August kind of time, would have bit your hand off at it. But there obviously have been a few stumbles along the way, and that's what it'll be alluding to, that they kind of need to be ironed out, and you need to keep that consistency up. These adding in the summer, adding to the squad, in January is going to be crucial to that, and seeing through this title race, or whatever you really want to call it. But it's exciting. You're getting the real taste of what Postecoglou is. You'll understand really how he deals with this kind of pressure going into the last part of the season, that final push as well. So there's lots to be positive about. And as much as you can paint a fantastic picture, obviously Celtic are still second right now. So he has to, he'll know that obviously, and has to remain conscious of that. So I think his comments yesterday were more than spot on.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. I mean, we'll look at this from a Celtic persuasion and say they've got a lot more to give. He's very much not going to rest his laurels. And do you think this next sort of window, I say 4 or 5 game window, is key to how Celtic's season pans out in the end?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no margin for error now. Following the draw against St Mirren, you're thinking, 4 points or whatever you're thinking, you're still really in it. But there is no margin for error. There's no room for a slip up. And if Celtic do slip up, especially right now, then you are starting to worry. Nothing is obviously over until it's over, but you have to remain realistic, and you think as much as you know, a lot of praise has been heaped on Postecoglou as well. Rangers are just continuing to tick away. And as much as we're obviously, you can remain optimistic, and rightly so, by no means is anything over, but you think if Celtic perhaps slip up and Rangers keep plodding on, then it does get trickier and trickier. There's no denying that. But right now, I think you've got every right to remain optimistic. Right now, there's not a worry. There's still such a long way to go in the season. So by no means do you give up or anything like that. Right now, everything is going along, but it's still crucial to remember. Sorry, that there's no margin for error.
Johnny Kenny, have you been? Well, you obviously haven't seen him yet, but are you happy with the signing? Do you know much about him?
Yeah, it was I think it's been labelled home from home. It is exciting. I think he's kind of been on Celtic's radar for a little while. But yeah, it's an exciting signing. It'll be interesting if he goes into the B side, but it's a little thing, but he's been named on the main Celtic team website, if that makes sense. He's not been put in the little subheading of the B team just yet. So that's promising. I'd like to see him there, because, well, we all know I'm not the biggest fan of the B side and their role. The whole point of their introduction, obviously, into the Lone League was to, help Scotland, promote Scotland's youth players. So I'm not the biggest fan of, bringing in a signing from Ireland or from anywhere really, and putting them in there, because the whole point is his homegrown talent, given the game and all of that. But it's another exciting signing. Like I say, it's good for Celtic to get that one over the line as well, considering that he has been kind of on the books for a little while.
Is Monday an opportunity to put out a statement, do you think?
I think maybe a statement, but I think just, reveling and having a packed Hampden, my God, a packed Parkhead. I'll be turning up to the wrong stadium at this rate. We've been talking about Scotland so much, but I don't know about a statement. I just think it's about, getting the win. It'll be interesting. Obviously, Sean Maloney is bringing a Hibs side that are full in confidence. Sean Maloney's full in confidence. Hibs fans are full in confidence with Maloney. I think they're loving life under him. They're having a really decent window themselves, and both Edinburgh clubs are really surpassing expectations. Ewan Henderson, obviously, I don't think he'll be able to play. I didn't notice if there was that in his clause, but I wouldn't think that Celtic would allow him to play. It's not kind of how they go about their business. But yeah, to welcome Maloney back, I loved him at Celtic. I really did. Scored one of my favourite Scotland goals at Celtic Park as well, obviously. A little link up with Scott Brown. I thought it was that was crazy. That was when, the Scotland good moments were certainly fleeting, not so much now. They're kind of the norm, which I'm here for that to stay. But yeah, it's going to be a great night. I'm just looking forward. To be honest, you're asking me, is it a statement? I've not actually thought about that much. I'm just so excited to get back. I really am. Kind of feels like just being a bit of a kid again and getting back to the football, because it's tough, this winter break, as much as, and I agree, it's 100% the right thing to have done, but it has been tough not having the football, especially when the darts finished as well. I had nothing else to do. So I'm just delighted to get back, to be honest with you, Dave.
I'm just a little bit disappointed that Amy missed the cut here, because I was loaded to the Falkirk pun there.
Oh my God, I never even, Dave, that is so embarrassing. Me who hops on it at every occasion. Very good, Dave, very good. I'm just so fixated on Hampden, to be honest with you. No, that was, well done, Dave, well done. Sorry for not picking that up. Like I say, me who born and grew went blimmin' viral with the pun, didn't even notice. I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's Friday night. We can understand. From a Celtic persuasion, I mean, it's a big week, because I mean, if you beat Hibs, you're on to Alloa, and obviously, sorry to bring this up, but obviously you'll be looking to get that one, a comprehensive Celtic win, especially after what they did to Big Rose in the last round.
Oh, it was devastating. It was really devastating. That was just a bad afternoon. Rose didn't deserve it. Didn't put in the best performance, to be fair. When I'm saying didn't deserve it, did deserve to get beat, not by that scoreline. But no, obviously Alloa at Barry Ferguson's at the helm there. Made the move from from Celtic Hearts, which everyone was kind of a bit like, oh, this is odd. He's obviously got Celtic promoted into the divisions and now he leaves. He jumped ship to Alloa. I certainly don't think it's all went plain sailing quite yet. But yeah, it's ticking along just fine. So yeah, it would have been the dream tie if it was Bonnyrigg. I think I'd been getting 999 questions about who I'd be favouring. I got asked that on Monday about Celtic B against Bonnyrigg. But yeah, I'm all for a fairy tale, put it that way. But no, that would have been amazing. I wouldn't be able to contain myself. But no, getting through this next round of Scottish Cup is obviously it's crucial for Celtic. More silverware, getting that first cup under the belt is absolutely amazing already. And yeah, just keep pushing.
Absolutely. That's all we've got time for. It's the weekend, finally. It's Friday night. If you're at any games this weekend, hope you enjoy it. Also, 500, so you'll get all your steak and gravy next week. But for now, enjoy your weekend and hopefully get a few beers or indeed get a few steaks down you. So enjoy your weekend.